Welcome back to our channel, and welcome back to our wonderful Belle. We got all the holes finished up in her legs, on both legs now, so we're good there. Our next step is to cut all them pins to length and then insert them into her legs. Then we can paint. And I was going to paint first and then put the pins in, but I think I might go ahead and put the pins in and then paint, because if I get any paint on the pin heads, you can always take a Q-tip and a little bit of alcohol and it'll come right off. So I think I might do it that way. But we got all the holes drilled, and I just have to fix her belt here because I chipped the belt here. I didn't even realize it when I dropped it, so we gotta hang out to fix that chip. But I think it's almost ready for paint. We've got the base off of the plaque, and we started to paint the base, and it's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. This is the fun part of always building a figure kit, is putting paint on, because that's what kind of, obviously brings it to life. So our first step was, I wanted to paint the whole thing with black primer. Belle is the red oxide, the base was black primer. So we did it with black primer, that way it would already paint our treasure chest, because I knew I wanted it black. I didn't want to go with the traditional wooden chest, wood tone chest. So everything got painted black, and that also give us some depth in the sand here by putting black on it first. And I just used our Bright Touch black primer and just shot it with the black primer. And then next step was to go over and do the sand, and we did the sand in two colors. We did it in sand dune and sandbox. Sand dune has more gray in it, and the sandbox has more brown in it. And I kind of mixed the two when I was stippling it, and kind of got a mixture of the two. Let me zoom it in here. Kind of got a mixture of the two colors. There we go. Yeah, you can see it better. And I kind of like that. I didn't want to have just a one monotone color on the sand. And now I got about three colors going on. We got the black, the gray, and then the what the hell is it called? Sandbox. Well, sand dune in the sandbox and the black. So we got three colors going on, and I kind of like that. So that's the sand. The skull here and the arm, we're looking pretty good there. We dry brushed buttermilk. This is a Americana color. Buttermilk first, because you never want to use a pure white. That's a little bit too stark. So the buttermilk on the skull and the hand, dry brushed, and then when it was dry, I give it a wash of raw sienna to add a little bit of age to it. And that's the skull, and that's the hand. That was pretty easy peasy. The red on the treasure chest, that was dry brushed with the labels wore off, but I'm pretty sure this is tomato red from Ceramcoat. So that's that. And I might go back and put a little bit of that red in between the supports, because there's some scroll work going on in each panel. But it's not done that well. At least on mine it's not done that well. So I might just dry brush some red in between the panels and just make the whole bottom of the chest reddish in tone, and then leave the lid black. I might maybe go with a darker red, maybe, or like a charcoal, so it's a little different than the lid. But yeah, that's the treasure chest. So that's just black and red. And then the coins in the jewelry, that's that new paint I just bought. I wanted to try it out. It sounded interesting. It's from Played. It's the liquid leaf. And this stuff is fantastic. I love this stuff. If you're into miniature painting or figure painting and you're looking for something that's easy to use and you want to simulate a gold plating, this is it. This is great stuff. Can't say enough about this stuff. It looks fantastic. I don't know of any kind of gold paint, even in Vallejo, that looks so much like plating like this does. This looks fantastic. It comes in gold and brass. This you need lacquer thinner to clean your brush with. And you also want to seal it with clear acrylic, because if you don't, this will tarnish. The little, I don't know what these are, decorations I guess, is the Vallejo Model Air Copper. And I think that's all my colors. Of course, black for touching up on the primer, because a couple places I kind of screwed up on the liquid gold, so I had to touch the lid up. And the Stucco Art black is a pretty good match for the Bright Touch primer, so I use that to touch up my screw ups. Alright, we got some color on Belle finally. She's starting to come to life. And we're going to go over the colors I used and what I did to get what you see here. Nothing difficult. We got all the pins in. That wasn't too bad. There's 28 pins on each leg, and then 6 up front here. And I put them all on before I painted, because I wanted to make sure that the pins were in there good as far as the adhesive. And I just used tacky glue. I just dipped each pin into tacky glue and put it in the hole, and there we go. And I figure if I get paint while I'm painting this on the pin heads, I can just take a micro brush. I have a bunch of these, a micro brush, and just dip it in alcohol and wipe the pin heads, and that acrylic will come right off with alcohol. So I wasn't too worried about it. So all the pins are in, and then once we got all the pins in, I reattached the base to the plaque. You can kind of see it there now. We've put her skin tone on with our airbrush. Everything else has been hand brushed, painted by hand. The skin tone, I probably should have went a little darker, but I'm thinking tattoos, so I wanted it more kind of like a, I mean, it's warm. I wouldn't say it's a cold skin tone. It's I think a warm skin tone. I can warm it up even more if I go with another layer or two. That I'll probably just put on by hand, because this is thin for an airbrush. So if I put it on with a paintbrush, it'll self-level and won't have to worry about it. But this is a mix of Vallejo Basic Skin Tone and the Army Painter Barbarian Flesh, which I thought about just using that straight, but I just thought it might be a little too dark, even though she would have pretty dark skin being out there in the sun all day. The boot's pretty easy. It's two colors, I'm sorry, 2 colors. First thing we did was paint the boots with this color right here, brown iron oxide, which is kind of like a dark brown. It's almost similar to a burnt umber. Yeah, maybe just a little, maybe a shade or two lighter than burnt umber. It's pretty close to burnt umber. So we put that on first. And once it was dry, I cleared it with Future. Because when you put a wash over craft acrylics, if you don't seal it, your wash will reactivate your base color, and then you just end up with a muddy mess. So we painted the boots with this first, sealed it with Future, and then we made a wash of this color called Soft Black, which is kind of like a brownish black. And then we made a wash and just did the boots to kind of give the boots a little bit of dimension, a little bit of not so monochrome, not so flat looking. The brownish black kind of richens the look of the boot, and in the creases it pulls in there, and then it looks like black, and it gives it some shadow, so it gives her boots just a little bit of dimension, not so flat looking. And then once we got the wash on and that dried, we went over the boots with polyurethane. She won't stand up here. Polyurethane satin to seal in everything. I didn't want a gloss. I didn't want her boots really shiny, but I didn't want them dull neither. So the satin is a perfect, I think, a perfect sheen for the boots. There we go. And then we have to go back and do the buckles on our boots. I don't know. I haven't done the buckles yet because I'm undecided whether I'm going to go with silver or gold. Kind of thinking silver, but yeah, we got to do them buckles, so that's the last thing we'll do. Once we got the boots done and we got the flesh on, well, let me rephrase that. Once we got the flesh on and the boots done, we did the pants next, and that's our Prussian blue. Just straight Prussian blue. I didn't, straight out of the bottle. I didn't mix it with anything. And I think it looks really nice. That Prussian blue is just the perfect shade of blue. Since back in the day, blue and white were popular colors for naval uniforms. Yeah, I thought the Prussian blue was just perfect. So that's been all done by hand. The boots were done by hand. We got the front here. We got the back here. You can kind of see that. And what we got left to do is the belt. And I chipped the belt. I didn't realize I chipped it probably when it fell. So I have to fix that before I paint it. But I might not even fix it because it's right up against the blouse and you probably won't even see it that well. So I might just fill that chip in with paint. You know, as thick as craft acrylics are, that's one thing nice about craft acrylic. It's a really thick paint, so you can almost use it like a filler. Yeah, we gotta do the belt. The belt I'll probably do in like a charcoal. And then the belt buckle, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to do that in silver or gold. One of the two, though. I want the buckle to match the buckle on the boots. And then on the lacing, I was going to use this color here. Kind of a neutral color. But I thought the diameter is just a little small. I wanted something, with a little bigger diameter. So I have a ton of this out of the Constitution kit, which I have to get back to. I'll eventually get back to that. Actually, I've been having a hankering to work on it, so you'll be seeing the Constitution coming up here shortly. But I got more than enough of this, so I might use this instead because it's a little larger diameter. And I think it's a little bit more in scale. I think this is a little too small. So we'll just once we get everything done, we'll just start lacing up. I'm trying to do this on camera real quick just so you can see. And there we go. We'll start lacing up the pants, and the neutral color I think goes well with the neutral, or with the beige pants here. Yeah, there we go. I got this right? Yeah, I got it right. And you can kind of see that. I haven't figured out how I'm going to tie the ends yet, but I'll figure that out when the time comes. There we go. Yeah, you can kind of get the idea. Yeah, let me zoom in so you can see. Again, I'm a million miles away. There we go. So I think it'll look pretty good using that thread. So we'll get that done. once we get everything all painted. The lacing will be the last thing I do, obviously. So, yeah. Is that it? I think that's it. I think I'm going over everything. Pretty simple stuff so far. It's just dry brushing, you know, washes, dry brushing over our base colors. And that's it in a nutshell. Pretty easy peasy. Not too hard at all. Yeah. Alright. Take care. We'll see you in their next update on Belle.